Welcome to Southern Orthopedic PrepZone Wrap-Up, driven by Carl Cannon.
Hey guys, welcome in. James Phillips and Brian Hale. It's our DME PrepZone Wrap-Up show. Brian, we had games every day this week, it seemed like. From Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Do we have any Sunday games this week?
No, but I mean, I actually, if it wasn't just for just one game, I actually liked having a lot of games on Saturday. I think until college football comes back, us moving all the games back, moving it to Saturday would be good.
Right,
we could stagger the times.
That's the thing. We don't have any college football right now, so people might as well get some high school football in.
Absolutely.
Well, let's start with Thursday's games. Sumiton Christian 48 at Cherokee 0. The Eagles really, you said you thought they were going to flex their muscle in this one, and that's what happened.
Yeah, first shutout by Sumiton Christian since 2012. So they not only got it clicking on offense, they got it clicking on defense. And I think this is exactly what they needed. They needed to just cut loose and really feel good about themselves. And I obviously think they accomplished that. And
we saw Eli Moon was their standout player this week. He had 4 touchdowns, I think right at 200 yards on the ground.
Yeah, he had a phenomenal amount of stats. He also had good defensive stats, converted 3 2-point conversions. The guy had a stellar game.
Great game out of him. Okay, how about we go to some Winston County games? It's actually a couple of rivalries. Winston County 64, Meek 14. Wow, like the Yellow Jackets never looked back in this one.
Yeah, I blew this pick.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Hey, I'd rather blow it completely than miss it by 2 points.
Right.
Any day.
Yeah.
Any day. But Winston County, Meek apparently has no ability to stop the run, because that's pretty much all it was from start to beginning. It's a whole lot of running. And, well, I guess Meek enjoyed one good week of it looked close, because certainly this one didn't look close.
Well, and then you talk about running the ball. Addison 50, Lynn 0. Another, Lynn just could not stop that Addison offense.
No, this was a complete top-to-bottom offensive and defensive domination. JP, 342 yards to 42 yards. Lynn couldn't even move the ball against Addison's second and third stringers. So it was top to bottom. What I did love, though, more than anything in that game, Addison came out in the T formation. This is a formation I haven't seen on the field since 1991.
Right.
They came out and ran variations of the single wing. I mean, they went back old school, 1940s and 50s. Hey, instead of inventing all these new formations, I say you go back to the 40s and 50s and copy some of those. There's plenty of game tape,
right,
and nobody's still going to know how to defend it in modern era.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like we talked about with the wing T. When people run it right, it's hard to stop it.
Exactly.
And Addison, 50 points, and that's a big rivalry. Those two teams do not like each other.
No, they do not.
All right, let's go. This is our first game that we've got some clips from. I need to mention, though, Jeffrey Winborn was a road warrior this week. He went to 5 different games to get clips for us for our wrap-up show, and he was all over the place. I think he posted on Facebook he drove like 3,000 miles or something. Probably not that long, but he did do a lot this weekend. We need to thank him for that. Dora at Holt, or no, Holt at Dora, because we switched this thing 3 times. Holt at Dora. Dora wins 21-7. The Bulldogs, though, were a little slow in this one.
Yeah, and I saw that in the commentary from Coach Lockhart. He was unhappy with the consistency. He said we played good at times, and then we played bad at times. He wants some consistency. He said if we get consistency, we have a chance to be a good ball team. I've got to agree with him. There is no shortage of weapons for Dora, and the potential is limitless. It's just consistency is what they need.
Well, for Thursday night's games, I was actually at my house keeping up with scores and putting them on DMVPrepZone.com. And that one was the one that surprised me all night. It was 7-7 at halftime. And then Dora comes up. They get a defensive touchdown early in the second half to put them on top. And then they finally score another touchdown for that 21-7 win. But we really expected that one to be a little bit more of a blowout than it was.
Yeah, I especially expected it to be, fairly one-sided.
All right, now we got Oakman and Curry. Oakman 40, Curry 12. The Wildcats, really, their offense came alive in this one after struggling much of the first game in week 1.
Yeah, they've really got 3 stars that are emerging. Denzel Chapman, he's an excellent wide receiver. You've also got Caden Marchbanks. He's really coming along good. And also on top of that, Odom, the quarterback. I think he's coming along really good. And, I think Oakman just needed a week to really just kind of get themselves back together again after the shock of going against Gordo, and they got themselves back on track.
Well, and you mentioned Chapman and Marchbanks. Both of those guys are new this year. They were Jasper Vikings a season ago.
Actually, 2 years ago, though, Chapman was at Oakman.
Right, and he had played at Oakman before, so he's gone back and forth.
But Marchbanks is brand new.
Yeah. All right, how about Cordova and Carbon Hill? This one surprised a lot of people.
Me too.
Cordova wins 30-8, and Carbon Hill just seemed to not get the offense rolling at all throughout the night. I think they scored to make it 12-8 just before halftime. They scored maybe 20 seconds before halftime, and then couldn't get any other points on the board. And Cordova really controlled this game, controlled the clock from beginning to end.
Well, Cordova, as we saw in the second half of the Dora game, they showed a lot of capability. And Coach Palmer, evidently from week 1 to week 2, really worked on the progress, and they made it because, as we know all about this offensive line for Carbon Hill. If they were able to penetrate and stop drives, that says a lot for Cordova.
Right, and I mean Carbon Hill much improved, but just seemed like they never got in the flow. Mm-hmm. How about we go to a break real quick? How about that?
Okay.
We don't do that very often. Let's go to a commercial break, find out what else we have coming up with our DME PrepZone stuff, and we'll be right back.
Southern Orthopedic PrepZone Game Time, driven by Carl Cannon. Presented by Kilgore Green Funeral Home, Nelson Bryan and Cross, Bank of Walker County, Southern Orthopedic, and Carl Cannon.
All right, we're back, guys. Now we're going to talk about the Friday and Saturday games. Brian, first game you were at, it's Mortimer Jordan at corner. It was senior night in corner, but the Yellow Jackets came up a little short. It seemed like it was a lot of their own doing, though. A lot of unforced errors that really cost them this game.
Yeah, and it was really actually on one facet of the ball, on special teams. They had a lot of problems with the long snaps. Snaps went over the head, snaps went between the legs of the punters. That resulted in short fields, or in one case, a safety. Mortimer Jordan only had one complete offensive drive that they were to take it from, more than 25 yards and put it for a score. So you have to really credit the corner defense. They have extraordinary good players with guys like Myrick, Cameron Blaylock, Abram Table. They've got a great defense, and they've got a good quarterback, Colin Daniel. And that's as well. It's just that they were not able to put anything together. If it was not for the overturns and the bad field position that they were given to Mortimer Jordan,
right,
this game could have probably ended up being 7-0.
Right. Yeah.
Which it might have still been a loss, but you at least say, well, we lost to a long drive.
Right.
That was it.
Right. Well, the corner offense kind of struggled throughout the game.
Yeah, they really couldn't get the running game going. Passing-wise, some of the passes were over the heads, and then some of them were just dropped by wide receivers. So that was a combination of it. Running-wise, I don't think that they got any more than maybe 40 yards on the night. But it really sputtered for the offense. Defensively, though, they were stellar.
Well, Brian, let's go to our final game, the Saturday game, which was our PrepZone game of the week. Jasper traveling to Cullman. Jasper was undefeated, Cullman undefeated. It's always a big rivalry. Cullman comes up with a 21-0 win. I just got back from there. I've got the sunburn to prove it, playing at 11 o'clock on Saturday. It was hot on that sideline, and Jasper just could never get anything going offensively. It's like several of our teams that we've mentioned this week. Bad snaps were a constant throughout the game. Several bad snaps in key situations kept Jasper from getting into the end zone. And Cullman had two big plays that really were the difference. The biggest situation was at halftime, 14-0. Jasper comes back out. They drive the ball down the field. They're looking like they're going to score. And then there's a bad snap, and it cost them field position, and they couldn't score. Well, Cullman takes it immediately and scores again to make it 21-0, and that's the final score.
Yeah, and I mean, this is really surprising. Look, I think most of us, when we picked the limbs, when we did our picks, there was a lot of split among all of us. But I don't think anybody could have thought this would have been a 21-0 shutout.
Right.
At all.
These two teams always play a really close game, and it was closer than the score shows, but Jasper just never got anything going. They were flat to start with and just never found any kind of footing. Quarterback Spencer Rosenfeld went down the second quarter. That really hurt them. Once he's out of the game, that kind of handicapped their offense quite a bit. Kevon Samuel came in and played a really good job at quarterback, considering that situation. I think he's more of a, hey, we have a package for this guy type of thing instead of being the quarterback. But he played well in given the situation he came in for. Now, luckily, I did talk to some people after the game that said that Rosenfeld has a sprained ankle. They're hoping it's not terribly sprained. He'll have to go to the doctor on Monday. They're hoping to have him back, though, for the next game.
Okay, well, I mean, obviously that was just what I was about to say. Our prayers are with Spencer because obviously he's a young guy. Our thoughts and prayers would immediately be for his health. Going forward as a team, though, you're having to think to yourself, how long would it be before they figure out the package?
Right. Right.
So.
As we're talking about injuries, there was a really bad injury in the Curry game. One of their players was injured. I think it was a dislocated elbow or wrist or something like that. We want to send thoughts and prayers to him and his family as well. Anybody who was injured during the games this week. But those were the only two major injuries that I heard of that took people out of games.
You hate to see any type of injuries, especially in a season like this, because with COVID can shift people in and out. We haven't seen it in our area. We've heard it from different areas. Jackson Olin had to cancel for the next 2 weeks.
Right.
With it shifting in and out, that could really play into a season like this.
Right, and we talked about how flat Jasper was. I do want to send it over real quick and hear Coach Bailey after the game to talk about his thoughts on that game. Let's go to Coach Bailey real quick.
All right, Coach, tough loss there, but what can you say about your team kept fighting, y'all lost your quarterback, and you kept going. But
yeah, I've had better days on the football field than this one, and there'll be better days ahead. So they fought, man. Especially our defense, they fought their tails off all day, man. Outside of that first drive, and then we cut somebody loose. They gave up one drive in the second half, but they never quit. They fought the whole way through. So I'm proud of them for that. Offensively, we got to get it figured out, man. We sputtered there in the first half, never could get a lot going, and then Spence went down, and that was really tough. He's a big part of what we do, and hopefully we'll get him back soon. So it's a tough deal, man. Tough loss. That's a good football team. Coach Glasscock, those guys, they do it right. It's a good football team.
Any preliminary on Spencer?
We'll see. He's with the doc right now, so we'll see.
All right, we're back, Brian. You heard what Coach Bailey had to say. It was not the game that he had hoped for. It was a struggle throughout the day on Saturday. But Jasper falls, and now they go into region play, which is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, and of course, one of their region opponents I did see last night, Mortimer Jordan. To be perfectly honest with you, Jordan didn't look too bad, but they're not the Jordan Bowl.
Right.
So it's a game that if Jasper can get themselves back together, win, that's certainly a game that they can not only compete at but win. But I'm telling you what, that's a murderer's row schedule that they've got.
Well, Brian, any other thoughts on this week?
Nope. We don't want to release it, but we do have a player of the week already selected.
That's right.
We'll be filming that, but it will also be in Tuesday's paper. So everybody be on the watch on that. We're not going to spoil it.
That's right.
You'll have to look in the paper and also watch the shows.
And we had several big performances this week. A lot of people had key plays to make a difference in games. We had a lot of blowouts this week, though. So there's some guys who really rolled up some stats.
Yeah, they did.
All right, well, look for that in the Tuesday paper. Also, look for us on Thursday when we bring you the DME PrepZone game time. And until then, for Brian Hale, I'm James Phillips. We'll see you then.